Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I'll start sharing my screen. As she said, my name is Alejandro Pinto. I'm a Spanish architect and urban technologist, as I like to call myself. And I work for Gemitech and Gemi Architects, located in Bradford, in north of the UK. And what I want to talk to you about today is about these two parts. To this, I'll do it two separate presentations. So one is the project, the Reactive Pandemic Protocol, which it won one of the awards from Archie Now, which now I was also, thanks, sorry, I missed that. Thanks for the invitation and for the award for having me here between all so many talented people. So I'm gonna start with talking about this project, and I also want to credit Robian Santiago and Johan Morandel, which were colleagues working with me on those projects, and the faculty, Arete Marco Polo, Alex Modemo, and Jacopo Neri. So this project was done at DIAC, the Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, on the Master in City and Technology. And then afterwards, I'll be talking about what I'm doing now at Gemitech with and Gemi Architects with Amir Hussain, Kushal, and some other colleagues. Okay. So this presentation has a bit of time already. This one specifically was done for my thesis in the Master in City and Technology last year. So some of the data you might see is a bit outdated. So sorry for that. But I hope it's illustrative enough. And unfortunately, we are still in the middle of this tremendous pandemic. So I think it's very meaningful at the moment. And before starting, I'm going to also quote one of the previous speakers that said, architecture is more than a building. Well, in my presentation, you are not going to see even a building. Sorry for the ones that are expecting that. But we are talking beyond architecture, okay? So I'll start with this one. So this was by then, when we were working this project, the huge amount of cases for of COVID that now this has even picked even more, no? We're seeing cases, this was by June 2020, that was tremendously affecting to every part of the world. And we were seeing this in every single part. Now it's like, it's already, you know, we got used to the sense of it in some way, but it's a huge impact to the people, the world, and all the cities. So by then, I mean, we started this project thinking on, you know, we were seeing a lot of healthcare system capacity being overdue. No, like we were seeing that. How can we decrease that curve? No, how can we how can we extend the healthcare system capacity? And that's how we started thinking on right. So how we can do that? No, and we were seeing, and this is the case of Spain, that it was the amount of hospital beds per 100,000 inhabitants. It was below the average of Europe. So how we do that? So, and we were just doing some checklists. Okay, we can redirect patients, we can locate different available supplies, we can redeploy stuff. But the one we really thought was interesting for us to focus was to brainstorm alternative sites of care. And we were looking at tons of examples in the media of like this hospital that was built in just a few days in China. We're looking at this in Madrid, that the whole exhibition complex was being transformed in just a few hours. Or things like in Central Park, this iconic park of New York being transformed into a temporary field hospital. And I could keep going, carry on with this more and more, you know? But if we think on summarizes this, we could make them on these three. So new build hospitals, adaptable typologies, and tent hospitals, which sometimes they were linked to existing hospitals, no? So the one were really interested in was adaptable typologies, because in some sense it was the one that was more efficient, sustainable, because it wouldn't require, you know, new materials, And on top of that, a lot of the places were closed. You know, we had sports centers closed, events facilities closed. You know, so why don't we take that and transform that? And when we design that, why don't we do it thinking about critical scenarios like this one, no? So just to run you through an overview of the project, we have a first analysis part that is talking about this was during my stay in Barcelona for the masters. So this is being piloted and designed for Barcelona. And so that first part of analysis, we're looking at what's the Barcelona response, which is the vulnerability. We created this vulnerability index to see which were the areas that were more vulnerable, and which were those adaptable typologies that I was talking about more optimal to do this transformation. And then in terms of the proposal, we ran through a first phase of how we would detect the cases, how we would deploy a protocol as fast as possible, and how can we, how can we create an internet of buildings, so buildings connected between them that can somehow be smart enough to answer and as very fast to this situation. And then we're looking at another scenario, but I'm not going to go into that today. So starting for the analysis, if we think about what Barcelona did during COVID, we were seeing that the amount of the hospitalized people was reaching its limit, and it happened right, a few months, a few days even after this, and we were seeing how this was already happening, no? So how some field hospitals and some hotel clinics and hotel for health workers were participating as supporting the whole need of an entire city on how to respond in the best possible way to this problem. So we were looking at, by that time, close to 900 extra beds, including, let's say that we have that main hospital, if we think about the healthcare network, and then we have a health hotel where the patients can stay in quarantine after they are recovered. We can think about comfort pavilions for the palliative care units. We can think about nursing homes for the patients to rest, hotels for the staff, the health care workers, etc., etc. So this is just a map of Barcelona that is showing by then the existing hospitals and some other infrastructure, health infrastructure and others that were helping those hospitals. But we wanted to take that further and complexify that thinking, So first we started developing this index. So we started listing every single thing that we were thinking that it could affect, it could make people more vulnerable when talking about COVID. So we took the ones that we believed they were more important, like such as aging population, people that were commuting a lot, an amount of homeless people, a square meter per person in terms of household. And we collected that data and created this index, and we weighted every of these parameters to give us this vulnerability index. And also combined it with the actual infection count by that moment. So what you see in here is a collection of maps that is showing all those different parameters. So socioeconomic status, aging population, population density, the amount of commuters, the urban structure. It's interesting to see also that you see that some of the maps are having a granularity going into the block, the building itself, and some others are into a more, this is because the data was coming, we were having access that way, no? And, if we go through all these ones and we put it together, weighted with those percentages, we get this index. And then if we add to this the infection count by that time, we have a risk map. So this was our base to start. Okay, which are the most critical areas in Barcelona that might be affected by COVID in the near future? No? And we were also working in a specific site, so scalability was very important when we were thinking about the project. So this is a neighborhood, and these are 28 blocks in which we did like a physical model in which we were video mapping some of these sites and so on. And then another part of this analysis was thinking about which are the most suitable typologies to be adapted, no? Because we can have tons of those, but we need to think, okay, which ones will be obsolete during that time, and which ones will be, you know, it will have a space big enough to allocate people, mainly as a field hospital, no? So we took those and we thought more in deep about these specific ones to think about, right, let's think about educational facilities. Okay, we can use the gymnasium as a place to create this field hospital. And we gave them a rating of which is the scalability of this space, if it's public or private, if it's the accessibility to them, the speed of transformation. And we did this with different facilities. So sport facilities, religious buildings, events hall, hotel rooms, etc. And then if we put those together, we can see, okay, we gave them a rough percentage based on some subjective understanding to carry on with the protocol, no? And we mapped them. So these are all the educational facilities in Barcelona. We got the amount of them on the right side and the average of square meters available, sport facilities, the same, hotels, the same, then halls, theaters, places of worship. And then, right, if we take all of those and we count them and we just take an average, we didn't have access to the specific square meter of each single building, but we could have an understanding of, okay, this is the rough square meter average for this facility. So we kind of did this simple calculation where, you know, you got the amount of those facilities per the percentage that we've talked before of adaptable space, divided by the 12 square meters, which is approximately the bed space in a field hospital. It can give us the amount of bed that facility can provide us. So that's the huge amount of facilities of beds, extra bed that we could be counting with, no? And so this 153,000 beds. And if, in fact, if we take a look at those potential and we compare with, is the entire Spain hospital beds, just what we could achieve in Barcelona. And that's the Catalonia hospital beds. So Catalonia is the region, the further region where Barcelona is located. No? So, and this map, what is showing is the potential of this protocol, because what we see is where we have a higher density of these facilities, it's marked in red, and the white dots are the existing hospitals. No? So with this vulnerability index, some adaptable typologies, and taking in consideration the actual count of infection during that time, that's how we created this reactive pandemic protocol. And now let's jump into the proposal. So how we can, first, detection is pretty critical for COVID. We all know that. So by the time there was this system that Google and Apple for the first time, they were, you know, working together to get this response. So if you got this private key of, it could inform the other person that you've been infected, so he has to be careful and be in quarantine and so on. But so what if the health authority could give, could be directly connected with the city planning response? So what if that risk area at the infected location merge together in order to deploy a protocol? Now, how do we start deploying this protocol I'm all the time talking about? Right, so we start with the detection of infection. We look for an adapted field hospital in the area, which we use those ones that we talked before. then we want to go one step further, and we want to look for the resources that we have in the area that might be beneficial for us, such as also pharmacies, parkings, factories, restaurants that can provide food for the patients and the health workers, even laundry. So we thought about almost everything, you know? And then even where people can recover, or even, unfortunately, we were seeing even ice rinks being used as morgues. So that's something we also need to keep in mind when designing the planning. So this is like our Internet of Buildings. You know? So it's starting by this detection, and it's growing, and is essentially buildings that wasn't designed for that purpose have, you know, they are working all together for this healthcare network. And here I'm just going to show a video that this is a simulation that we created in Grasshopper, which using the real data, which it will allow us to select a building and simulate which ones will be the most appropriate facilities to support that infection. And we could even see some resources. So the number of beds you see here, the number of health personnel, and this is the maximum in the area. That's the best solution, and that's the actual solution in the area. And there is an entire explanation of this simulation that we did that you can just, if you type reactive pandemic protocol online, you'll get to these videos. And then we also wanted to think a little bit beyond that. So, you know, the one-to-one network between those buildings, how would those change? Because again, you're gonna need the shortest path to the hospital, to the actual hospital, connected with the field hospital. You're gonna need extra parking for ambulances. You're gonna need places that, you know, all these things that we've seen of enlarging the pedestrian streets, you know. So how we do that, no? So we also thought about that on how these street sections, you might say, if they will be redesigned. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but and then how those network of buildings. So what we are going to see next is a series of animations that are simulating that the appointed field hospital, which are the supportive facilities that has in less than 300 meters, and which is that shortest path to those. And the ones dotted are that are beyond that 300 meter. So you see here, this is the 28 blocks that we were talking before. And you see the total amount of open spaces that we have. You see the one of each of those iterations. You see that the blue circle is moving. That's one potential solution for that issue. And that's the amount of them within 300 meters, and which is the closest in meters. And we did that with pharmacies, with industries and factories that could generate and create new health masks and provisions and all these. The hotels, restaurants that could support these field hospitals as well, Evans Hall, parkings, etc. No, and what if we put all together and we are able to understand from a glance which is the best solution in my area to give support to this infection and create this field hospital with all this healthcare network supporting. And these are all the iterative solutions that we came up with. And I'm gonna say in here. Then we, as I mentioned, we did this alternative solution, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. And now I'm gonna jump into the work of Gemitech that I'm currently doing. So one sec, if I'm able to find the presentation. Yeah, here we go. Okay, I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second because I need the sound when sharing. So I need to do this. Okay. Now the work I'm doing right now with Yemitech, it's somehow it comes with from that master incident technology on that project that you've shown. We started implementing. I kept this. This was my architectural practice. Sorry. I was going to talk about something else, but if you want, we can have some questions for the project before, and then I'll jump into this. Okay, I'll continue. Okay, so as I was saying, this is somehow, it's a result, it's from partly from that master that I did in Barcelona. So I was in my architectural practice, which is Yemi Architects. This is based in the north of Bradford. Okay. And we work a lot with regeneration of places, enhancing the community, and you know, with very deprived places that really need rapid solutions and an understanding, a deep understanding of what's going on in the area. So this is the team. These are some of the architecture designs that we do. So Yemitech is like a sister company of Yemi Architect that is supporting them with the generation of giving insights using data, similar to what we've seen now, that you will see now. So the issue with Yemitech that we are trying to solve is that we are losing the sense of community. We are feeling a community very fragmented, and we are losing of people getting together, using these assets, these facilities in the cafes, the churches, where people actually gather in a community sense. And also because of COVID, I'm sure all of you have heard about this concept idea of the 15 minutes walk-in city or the 20 minutes walk-in city, and how we have everything that we need within our surrounding walking distance. And that has a tremendous impact when thinking about the sustainability and the economic development of a city, because you realize that you don't need to take the car for an hour. Depends on the city or on the country, of course, but you don't need to do that, and that is changing everything, no? So we say that it's all about human interaction. So how can we use the data that we from fixed assets? So every single of those dots that you see in Google Maps of facilities that you have around, and regular activities such as gym classes, for the things happening in sports centers, art classes, etc., and pop-up events, just festivals, tribute bands, meets. How can we do that to achieve purpose for people, cohesion, engagement, people aging in a healthy way, and also how can we do it in a digital way, using all the resources? So we've started doing a pilot in LS6, which is Leeds is a city of the north of the UK. And this is just some statistics comparing Leeds with Great Britain. And as I was saying before, we will start looking at these three components of the city. So fixed assets, this is LS6, that's the boundary. And this is a random path from one point to another. And that's a radius of 500 meters. And you see every single dot is every facility that might be valuable for this person in a community sense that he has around at every single point, in every single moment. And that's just the count of the quantification and the categorization of those. No? And then through this pilot, we collected a huge amount of activities during a 6-week period. And in here, what we can see is every single of those activities in terms of regular activities. And we are, in this sense, we are able to build and to have an understanding on where is the most popular thing going on Monday, on Tuesday, Wednesday, which is the most popular starting time, which is the most popular venue putting events and activities for the community, how many of them are paid. And again, if we do the same process for the pop-up events, which are like more things just happening once, we are able to understand this as well. So suddenly you got this new layer of community gathering and community relationship that is giving another value to the understanding of the city itself. And we are developing, so some of these are on prototype stage. We've done some pilots with some councils in the UK. And what we're trying to do is to build some of these tools that can give answers to the problems that the councils, the cities, and the neighborhoods have. No? So I'm just going to run quickly through them. So this is a data dashboard, which is showing you everything that is happening in a dynamic way. So you see that the numbers are changing, all those values are changing. So we collect those events and those insights, and we share this with the councils and with private organizations and publics for them to have an understanding of what's going on in the area. We actually did a project with a few schools in Bradford, in which they were able to see every single thing that they have for the kids within the area. I will talk more about that later. Then we were also developing this 15-minute neighborhood tour. What it will allow us is to, any place of the city, you type your postcode, which is the most common way of location in the UK, and you type which is essential for you in your 15-minute city, because the 15-minute city is a concept that it might be 5 minutes for one person, but it might be 30 minutes for another person, because we all have different needs, no? So just bring it. So by having an understanding of, does this place meet my requirements, you are able to design a better city. And what we want to achieve with this is a crowdsourcing type of, so a participatory citizen making, where the citizen itself gives these responses to inform city planning, and then the council can take actions with that. No? And this is just a summary. That's the entire Leeds region, and every single white dot is one of those facilities, and that's just the categorization of them by leisure, green, medical, sports, and subcategories to really go more deep into that. Another tool that we are is this community intelligence profiling. What this allows us, this is just a sample of that data. What you see here is a sample of those events by the different categories. So we got music, cultural, food, religious, wellness, and you see where those are happening through the day. But what if, on top of that, we are able also to aggregate some other type of data, like population data? Where are the most common? Where the young population, or the African median price, the density of restaurants. So what this suddenly allows us to do is to be very specific in the take of the decisions within city planning. Then we also enrich that data. So those pixels that we were seeing before, we categorize them in order to be more beneficial for us. And now we can, like a use case will be, okay, we want a place. Imagine that you are a developer or you are the council and you want to do a proposal in the city, and I want to find the place with the previous filter and the most young place. So you are seeing how we are being left out with the most optimal sites within that region, which are those that can serve for this purpose. And now we also look into the granularity of seeing, right, so let's take a look at this. Which are the events happening here? How can we improve that. It can be a synergy with the existing organization that can enhance that community. The last tool is the community app. So, but never mind. So this is, we are designing this app that what we want to do is also give this information to the people and to the citizens. So how can we list everything, all those activities that you got down, and you as a citizen are able to have an understanding on what's around me today, tomorrow, this week, depending on which are your, so a bit like, there are a few apps that are already doing so, but what we think is this is not having an immediate response on the city planning authorities, and a lot of local events are not shown on those apps, and they are very large, like concerts and so on. So we wanted really to go into more the local places, and also most of these apps just work in big cities. When you go into a small city in the UK, you got nothing, on those type of apps. So we want to reach that level as well. And just to finish, this is a pilot that we did for the Bradford Council, and they had a program which is the Holiday Activities and Food Program. Just to very quick, this program is funded by the British government to give the children and the ability, because some of the schools are closed and some because of COVID, so to give the ability to them to participate in activities, keep active, and also give to some of them this the food that they don't have because they are not going to school. And some of them are, they call it free school meal, so they are children eligible to that, and they don't have resources, they live in very deprived areas, etc. So this is just an overview of that. So we build a pilot of the app, and we build this interactive mapping. And these are just some very quick, some of the insights that we produced with that. So we gather close to 4,000 activities within the area, and this allowed us to see. This is a heat map this is the city of Bradford. This is Keighley, another city, and it allows you to see the gaps in the area. And actually, if you compare it by ward with the amount of pupils per free school meal, so free school meal eligible children you can get a ratio of, the black ones will be the ones that have a higher ratio, and hence we need to populate with more activities that area, create more connection with existing organizations, etc., etc. And this is the same kind of ratio, but instead of with organization, with the activities deployed during that time. And this is just also a glimpse of, those are all the organizations within Bradford that they were putting activities. And that's the lower that we see and the bigger is the bubble, it means that those organizations, they were better in the sense of putting more activities for the community. And then they also can see, your organization and see yourself with the low average, you might be kind of, not ashamed, but you want to do better for the whole community, and we can generate responses and actions within the city. And this is the preview map that we're seeing. But what you see there on that's an isochrone that it's 15-minute walking distance. And like, for example, in here you got 16,000 people, or in here you got 6,000, 9,000. So all those people are being left out to have a near access to those improvements and to those activities happening within the area. And these are just a summary of those the most left out wards that and their the number of free school meals and the number of organizations and activities, etc. And that's it. This is everything from my side. I'm gonna stop sharing now. I hope I didn't bore people that were hoping to see buildings, but this is what we're trying to do: generate a larger knowledge of an understanding of what's around you. How can we create synergies, create connections from existing places to improve the city that we already have? Because we have a huge amount of infrastructure that it just needs to be designed and planned better. But most of it, again, it depends on the culture, on the country. But in some of them, this is already a layer that we can be improving, and we can be adding value to everything that we do in a urbanism and urban design scale. And again, if someone need, we actually, I want to mention that we are registered as partners with the International of Social Trade, and this is something that we can roll out internationally in other places, and we are open to collaborations to use this amount of data to generate better outcomes. And you can just type in gemitech.com, and you can have the links and the contacts there. And thanks everyone for listening. And again, thank you for inviting me. And that's it. Thanks.